r/AskReddit. Parents of Reddit. Why are you disappointed in your adult child? Not me, but my uncle. He is a very kind and hard-working man who did everything for his son/my cousins, while the younger ones are decent and successful persons. The oldest one was always a piece of work. He never finished school or worked in his entire life, and at the same time belittled my uncle for his work. Said things like that he wouldn't even leave his bed for the money my uncle makes. That he is stupid for working for someone else and hadn't understood life. They always believed in him. Gave him money so he could open his own store or stores, or bought him expensive cars/stuff so he would get motivated and do something with his life. After about 10 years, he is 28 now, and out of money he asked for it again. My uncle told him basically that he wants to see abuse in Espen first, and that he has to wait about 3 months because they are renovating the house. He threw a tantrum and left for a while. In the meantime, his parents renewed the first floor, walls, floor, bathroom, including furniture in his and his brother's rooms. Guys, one day he came back while nobody was home and just lost it. Called my uncle and screamed something about how he has to wait for his money while they were spending it for themselves. And then he smashed the place. Everything new and old. Ripped out the floor and destroyed the bathroom. There was water everywhere and smashed in walls. He slashed furniture and destroyed his brother's electronics. He had to be so angry. I was speechless when I saw it. They threw him out, took his keys, and haven't heard from him since. But before he fought with his father and called his mother a witch without an own opinion. It just broke my uncle's heart. He isn't the same man anymore. Edit. It is now 2:08 AM in Germany, and as much as I want to answer now all of your comments, I have to sleep soon. I will try to answer the most asked questions now, and will update this post again after work. Big promise. We are born and raised in West Germany. We are Kurdish of origin. My father and uncle lived an incredibly hard life back in Turkey with very strict parents. My uncle wanted his children to live a different life, with an understanding father figure. It was his first child, and yes, he enabled it. But he was never a doormat. He just did what he thought was best for his son. Because he never had it. Yes, he has mental problems. There is no diagnosis, as we can't force him to a psychologist. At this point it could be everything from depression to narcissism. He never had a drug or alcohol problem as far as I know. As another editor here commented, some people just seem to be rotten. Edit 2. First of all, I want to thank you all for your comments. Regardless if they were negative or positive. Thank you for your time and effort. Some of you warmed my heart, while others were a bit thoughtless or even hateful/racist. All of this happened about 2 years ago, and they repaired the damage. It took them a while, but it's handled. To everyone who offered help, I hope you get it 100 times back. As I mentioned in another comment before this post blew up, they reported him to the police for something else, but not for the destruction he caused. My uncle was just done with him at that point. He couldn't bring up the energy for another fight. We cleaned up the mess as much as we could. Family and friends fixed everything they could, and they paid again for the rest. His room is now a guest room. I don't know where his stuff went. There were so many concerned comments from you beautiful people, that we need to be there for him. Talk to him. Show him that we love him, and offer him everything we can. And we do. Just imagine how much we love him, when you already do without even knowing him. Unfortunately, there are some wounds we can't heal. He is not suicidal. He lives for his family. They all just need to learn to live with it, and all we can do is assure them that it's okay. And as, again, many of you said, the other 2 boys show how much uncle and aunt care for their children. Some of you can't understand why my uncle enabled him. How he thought his son would find motivation in cars and expensive holidays/stuff. That he needed his ass whooped and balls kicked. I get where that anger comes from. And this is the way my uncle and father were raised. With hitting and screaming. So it was never an option for them to treat their children that way. As I mentioned, they grew up very poor. And the things he did for his son and enabled him that way were the things he always wanted as a young man and never could afford. I think his generation/culture don't quite get the concept of mental issues. He imagines it like a person who fell into a pit and needs help to get out. This was too big for my uncle. As an understanding man and first time father, this already got kind of long. But I promised and did my best. There are a few comments I saved yesterday night and I want to answer. Just mentioning it. Because some people are accusing me of karma whoring. Edit 3. I don't really think it's important. But I'm his niece guys. Edit 4. Formatting. This broke my heart. I hope your uncle is doing okay now. He must have worked real hard to renovate a house like that. Thank you so much. He is very quiet now and just sad. Unhappy. I can't describe it. The lights are just out. He sees himself as a failure and is thinking day and night about what he had done wrong. He used to laugh with his whole body, and when we were little we would imitate the bouncing of his belly and he would chase us out of the room until we couldn't laugh anymore. Now he just smiles and lowers his eyes. There is just nothing left. This human garbage took all of his energy. Click because, for some reason, I was looking to hate myself more. Found fewer reasons for that. Surprisingly. Well played. Reddit. Edit. Whoa. Thank you so much for the silver. Edit PT2. Wow, thank you all so much. Same. I have been having issues feeling that I have disappointed my parents. This thread gave me a lot of perspective and made me feel that I'm not all that much of a screw up yet. I relate to that yet. Following this thread to find my parents, I'm more concerned that they'd be using Reddit. The random WhatsApp shares will become endless. I'll be mad if they somehow figured out Reddit, but still ask me to order things for them on Amazon because it's too confusing. My mum's disappointed that I left a PS33 000 a year job for a PS28 000 job because I had 2 mental breakdowns. Even though everything is now perfect, sometimes we just have to get on with it. Your mental health is worth way more than PS5k a year. As long as you have enough to get by, you made the right call. Ha. Same here. Recently changed jobs for my mental health. I'm disappointed in my son because he is too much like me. He's a solid introvert who is afraid to ask for help and doesn't want to bother people even with very legitimate requests. He is an expert procrastinator. I remember being that age and being so much like that. I'm not sure how I got through university, but I've been a successful engineer for 30 years, so I've still got a lot of hope for him. Also, both my kids vape/smoke. We've been anti-smokers for all our adult lives, and I'm sad to see them choose to do something negative like that. They both want to quit, but it's a tough road. Dude, hop on that right now. I had the same issues, and it led to me failing out of school, drinking and a suicide attempt. All at age 20. I wasn't confronting my fear of asking people for help, and it was eating me alive. The only thing that snapped me out of it was actually failing out of school and needing to tell my parents. Then it was 2-3 solid years of therapy and stuff like that. Seriously, you gotta get in there and see if he really needs the help I needed. He isn't even looking for a job or to get out of the house. He just eats my food without paying a penny and watches TV or plays all day. 2-year-olds are so entitled. Needs to put on his work booties and start etch-a-sketching that resume. My mom is extremely disappointed with me because I'm not having kids. It was my sole purpose in life. Good for you. I ended up with kids. But after 7 years of getting to know and enjoy being with my wife, I fully support anyone who doesn't want kids. It's important to be you for you and not someone else. Don't listen to this guy. He is motivated by his primal urge to have his progeny thrive in an environment without competition. /s. My son is 25 and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at around 15 years old, maybe younger. After he became too old and too big for me to manage his meds, he refused to take them, and his life has been a roller coaster of disasters ever since. Between prison time, juvie and adult, bad decisions, suicidal ideation, drug use, fathering to children he doesn't see, same mom, and insisting on making up reasons to not speak to me. I'm done. Because honestly there's nothing I can do for him. At this point I'm just waiting to get a phone call on where I need to go to identify the body. As someone with a bipolar, so I feel for you. He went off his meds once for almost 2 months, and it was the scariest and most painful time in my life. I can't imagine what you feel. Please accept a hug from a stranger. Thanks for the gold. It's my first. I'm currently enduring that scary and painful time. Mental illness affects everyone. Hugs to everyone. For those who don't have disappointing adult children, I can always be yours. Edit. Thank you so much for my very first Reddit award. It's well appreciated. Edit. First gold and first post to break 100 upvotes. Thank you all three. Same. I'll call to beg for money and everything. He is in prison for life. Could you tell us what he did? If you are comfortable with it. Killed 2 people. My parents are disappointed in me because I won't pretend I wasn't damaged from their abuse. My dad does this annoying thing where he acts clueless as to why his kids are weird or why we don't talk to him like a normal child would. IDK man. Maybe being beaten and berated for your whole childhood makes you weird. This reminds me a lot of my dad and I's relationship. He was verbally abusive and never hesitated to let me know having kids ruined his life and he regretted being talked into it. He chilled out after we were adults. But my brother and I could never really build a relationship once he calmed down. At one Thanksgiving he sat us down and asked point blank why that was. And we both said we resented him and couldn't just turn that off. He ended up killing himself when I was 25. That was 10 years ago. And I don't know if it's the time removed or if I've matured, but I feel like now that I have a wife, kids, and job with all the trappings we could finally relate and bro down. I'm over the hitty relationship we had. I want his advice now. But he didn't stick it out long enough for me to come around. Not sure what my point is really. I guess. Make an effort while you have a chance. Not a parent. But some current drama in my family has my parents pretty upset with my brother. He was having trouble with maintaining a job. So my dad got him hired as an assistant in his painting business. All he had to do was show up and do easy tasks and he would have the hours needed to pay for his car and living expenses. He did fine for a couple of months, but then my dad and mom went on holiday. He went home early without telling anyone one day. Then the next work day he pulled a no-show. So my dad gets a call that he didn't show up and he won't answer his phone. Dad tried to call him and got no answer over several hours. Finally my mom got through to his girlfriend, who said that my brother told her he had talked to dad and he said he could have the day off. A complete lie. My brother is required to make regular payments to my parents for the car they helped him buy. As long as he keeps making payments, he has access to the car. If he misses a payment, he loses access to the car until he pays. He decided to get a delivery job that doesn't give enough hours to make his car payment, but still requires his car. So he says he got this job and he needs his car, so he is allowed to keep his car even though he is missing payments. Everyone just found out he doesn't have a delivery job or a job at all, so he has lost his car and all references for a new job. His girlfriend hasn't been too impressed with the lying either. Edit. My brother is 20 years old and the youngest sibling of 8. The family dynamic in my story was simplified for easy reading. My family is actually split. Dad is actually my stepdad. Brother is my youngest stepbrother. I don't consider my step-siblings different from full siblings because my parents remarried when I was fairly young, so step-siblings, half-siblings, and BO siblings don't have a notable difference. In total I have 13 siblings, while some of us only have 8. He does get spoiled for being youngest, and he also misses out on a lot because he is the youngest. I'm almost 10 years older than him, and I didn't even meet him until I was an adult. We are fairly close though. Also, I'm not really taking any sides in this. I don't approve of my parents giving him handouts and babying him. But I also don't approve of some of his behavior that he has picked up from the crowd he hangs out with. They are both the idiots here and, to an extent, the victims. I just sit off to the side and observe with popcorn. It is between them and they will figure it out. Edit 2. Don't Google diagnose him. My parents. Or me please. A story I wrote on Reddit is not a fair assessment of him as a person. Indeed. He may be mentally ill. And he may have further problems. He may tear our family apart in the future. But that is absolutely none of your business. I'm only telling a story with the intent of casual discussion. I'm not here asking for advice. This issue barely involves me to begin with. Please be mindful of our privacy beyond what I have shared. And be aware that there are some things I have chosen not to share. And things I have changed in order to simplify the story for easy reading, so I don't need to write a novel to explain everything. I left out the part where I got injured breaking into my mom's house. The party. The dog sitting. The cell phone delivery man. The story of my brother's first week at work. The car accident. And the Facebook Messenger scandal. You guys only see what I shared. And I didn't share it all. Nor did I share it accurately. How does this guy have a GF? You all need to do him a favor and drop this deadbeat. She was so embarrassed. She and my family get along really good. And this really hurt her. She really deserves better. I'm in the middle of becoming estranged from my parents. They don't approve of how I'm raising my sons. And they can't even bring themselves to be around them. Our last attempt at a family vacation left my sisters yelling at my parents. And then storming off. Their complaint is that I don't have any boundaries for the kids. I do have boundaries. They just aren't the same as my dad had when I was growing up. He was the hardest with major anger issues. He threw me up a stairwell once when I left my boots behind at a park. Due to living in that household, I'm attempting to let my kids grow up knowing that making mistakes is part of life. You just have to learn from it. In any event, my children are monsters and he can't get over that. So I'm about to cut him and my stepmom out of our lives. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Internet stranger. There's clearly some differing opinions on here. And some folks that may need to take some time out and work on themselves a bit. My goal is to raise kids who are respectful of others and their space. Yet feel able to explore their world and make mistakes without fear. I'm like you. My dad was incredibly abusive and as a result I don't hit my kids or threaten them. Etc. Mine are quite well behaved. They are thoughtful, and they mostly listen. I'm sorry all these better adults chimed in to call you names and whatnot. I hope you don't take it personally. I'm over here cracking up about it. What an absurd display of misery. What do you do when they don't obey you? For example, when your kid is playing at the park and it's time to go home. So you call him and he doesn't come to you. What do you do? I'm not a parent, but I plan to be that type of mum. Ducking like and subscribe.